Justin, as a business owner, I get approached from time to time from people who are trying to sell me different domain names. If I was considering buying one, what should I be thinking about?
So let's skip over the make sure you don't get fleeced, right? That this is a legitimate person, and we'll just assume that you've for whatever reason you trust this person and you figured out that they're reputable. Okay. So moving from there, you've really got a couple issues to think about. One is how are you actually going to make this transfer happen? And one of the common ways is to have a domain name purchase agreement. Like any other property, it's really you're transferring a registration, but you want to have some sort of agreement that shows what you're going to pay for it, what's all that to make sure that you've got signatures. If it's somebody outside of the U.S., you may want to use a broker. There are some domain name brokers that can handle this because and again, I was trying to avoid the do you trust this person, but if it's somebody outside of your own country, you just want to be really careful, especially if it's a significant amount of money that's being transferred. And I've seen people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on domains, and it can get a little bit scary if it's you don't have recourse. So, but yeah, a simple purchase agreement on those. Then another thing to be thinking about though is you want to make sure that you have the rights to use whatever that domain is, because so in the United States, trademark rights are going to prevail over a domain name. So, I could, even if it was available, I can't go register McDonald's.ai and expect to be able to start selling hamburgers, right? Like trademarks will prevail over that. So you have to make sure that you have the rights to be able to use the name. It doesn't matter if you own the domain name, right? And
Well,
so,
that's interesting. That's interesting, Justin, because you hear about all the time of these like domain name pirates that take over a very popular name and basically hold the domain hostage until, let's say, a McDonald's or a big company pays them off. Is that even legitimate?
so, so in the United States, we actually, so two parts to that. In the United States, there is actually, it's called the Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act. Very easy to say, but it actually is designed for this. There was a period in time where this was happening all the time. And so if you do register and take a domain like that and try to use it that way, there's a specific section of the Lanham Act that you can use, and it authorizes statutory damages up to $100,000 per domain. So it's not, so this is something you have to be careful with. Now, as far as people in far off places that are hard to reach, there's also an arbitration proceeding that's set up. Everybody who registers a domain name agrees to certain terms of registration, and one of those is to be subject to these arbitration tribunals. And so you can actually institute it's a UDRP is what it's called, but and it's basically an arbitration where if somebody does this to you and targets your trademark, you can use this arbitration proceeding as an easy way to get it's basically like in rem jurisdiction. You basically get jurisdiction over that domain because of this, and then WIPO will transfer it to you. So there are lots of ways you can handle this. So, but back to our original discussion, original question is, you just want to be careful that you have the rights to use this domain the way that you intend to before you spend any money on it. Because if you don't, you'll end up with a registration that possibly has no value.